You didn't walk away. Not when the pressure grew heavier than expected. Not when staying required more restraint than you thought you had available. Not when silence would have been easier than continuing to explain yourself. You stayed. And that decision did not come from comfort. It came from alignment. There were moments when walking away would have felt reasonable, even justified. Moments when no one would have questioned your choice to step back, to protect yourself, to choose distance over endurance. But he didn't do that. You remained present in a season that demanded more than it gave back. You remained steady when clarity was delayed and answers felt incomplete. You remained faithful to what mattered, even when the emotional reward was minimal. You didn't walk away, and heaven saw it. Some seasons don't announce themselves as difficult. They don't arrive with warnings or visible crises. They simply begin asking for more of you. Slowly, consistently, until you realize that what once felt manageable now requires intention. At first you adapt without much thought. You give a little more. You stretch a little further. You assume. The wait is temporary, but over time, the repetition becomes demanding. The responsibilities don't pause. The expectations don't soften. And still, you stay. That kind of staying is not passive. It is an active, daily decision to remain aligned when relief would come faster through escape. You didn't stay because you were unaware of the cost. You stayed because you understood the cost and chose integrity anyway. That matters. Psalms 73-26 says, "My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." Scripture does not pretend. Endurance is easy. It acknowledges fatigue without shame. Your strength was never meant to come from endless energy. It was meant to come from being sustained when energy ran low. You didn't wake up every day feeling ready. You woke up aware that the day would require discipline, restraint, and steadiness. And you met it anyway. That is not weakness. That is maturity. Forming under pressure. There is a difference between being broken and being worn from responsibility. Broken things fall apart. Worn things have been used faithfully. You were worn, not broken. You were entrusted with consistency, entrusted with responsibility, entrusted with staying emotionally present when it would have been easier to disengage. And you carried that trust quietly. Psalm 55:22 says, "Cast your burden on the Lord, and He will sustain you." Not remove every burden immediately. Not deny that the burden exists. Sustain you. To hold you from underneath. While the weight remains, to keep you upright. When the pressure does not disappear overnight, that is the kind of help you have been receiving. You may not have felt lifted, but you were held together in moments when motivation faded, held steady. When answers did not come quickly, you learned how to function while tired without becoming careless, how to slow your reactions without losing conviction, how to remain present without letting frustration dictate your tone. Those skills were not accidental. They were formed through repetition, discipline, and grace. Psalm 121:3 says, "He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber." The road may have felt uneven, the future unclear, but you did not fall. You adjusted your pace. You recalibrated when necessary. You conserved energy without abandoning responsibility. You didn't walk away. That doesn't mean you were never tempted to. It means temptation did not decide your direction. You carried disappointment without allowing it to harden you. You carried uncertainty without letting it make you reckless. That balance is not common. It is formed. There is a kind of strength that does not look confident. It looks composed. It looks measured. It shows up in the ability to pause before responding, in the choice to protect your integrity when compromise feels easier. You learned how to remain aligned even when clarity was delayed. Waiting is continuing forward without clarity. And you did that. Isaiah 40:31 says, "Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength." Waiting is not inactivity. It is restraint. It is choosing not to force outcomes, not to rush decisions, not to let fear write the narrative. That kind of waiting requires strength, and that strength has been renewing quietly inside you. You may not feel dramatically different, but you are steadier, less reactive, more discerning. You no longer feel the need to respond to every pressure immediately. You have learned what deserves your energy and what does not. That discernment came at a cost. Proverbs 4:23 says, "Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it." And you guarded your heart. You did not let disappointment turn into bitterness. He did not let delay turn into recklessness. You stayed anchored. That anchoring did not happen overnight. It happened in moments when you chose patience over impulse, silence over argument, faithfulness over visibility. Heaven saw every one of those moments. Psalm 66:10 says, "For you, O God, have tested us. You have refined us like silver." Refining is not destruction. It is preparation. Silver survives the heat. It becomes clearer because of it. You're clearer now. Clearer about your limits. Clearer about your priorities. Clearer about what truly sustains you. When seasons become demanding, this season stripped away what could not carry weight. What remains is solid. Jesus spoke directly to people who carry weight without walking away. In Matthew 11:28, he said, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." He did not call those who escaped responsibility. He called those who labored. Rest here is not an exit. It is restoration while life continues. Jesus does not minimize the cost of staying. He honors it. He meets you inside it. You didn't imagine the weight of this season. He didn't exaggerate the cost. Heaven saw every decision you made. To remain aligned when leaving would have been easier. There were prayers you carried without words, questions you held without answers. Silence did not mean absence. Sometimes silence means formation. You are being shaped into someone who can carry responsibility without losing peace, who can endure pressure without sacrifice and integrity, who can remain present without becoming hardened. That kind of strength does not draw attention, but it lasts. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to justify how difficult this was. Heaven already knows the cost. You didn't walk away, and heaven saw it. You're still standing, and that matters. If this message spoke to you, like the video, share it with someone who stayed when leaving would have been easier. And subscribe for more devotionals like this. And if you feel led, leave a comment saying, I didn't walk away. May His peace find you today.